Is the world finally healing? Let's find out.
And that would be, I understand, Andrew, that would be your perspective on the matter. But given my perspective, I would say that meets my threshold. Are you saying it's okay to use the N-word, Andrew?
And it's subjective and it doesn't work as an argument.
Wait,
Andrew, hold on. Yeah. Parker. Is it ever okay to use the word retard? No. Is it okay for you to use the N-word?
Is it even okay to use the word retard to reference the word retard?
I think it's wrong to use it in general. Can you please?
But also, like, to retard your fall, or to like there's a meaning behind that word. So yeah, it's okay to use that in especially certain circumstances. I don't think it's nice to be calling someone that to be mean, but it's okay.
Can you answer my question, and then I'll answer yours, I promise.
I said it's
Is it okay to refer to the word retard if you're explaining the word retard?
Say arsler.
So you can't, okay.
This guy's a bit of an arsler.
You can't even use, so just the word itself. Okay, so here's the thing that's so funny about this, right? Is like, ultimately, when we say, retarded, yeah. So I wouldn't use the N-word. Here's why. When I say that, if somebody says the N-word, what ends up ultimately happening, there's not really too much in the way of equivocation there. Retard is not actually referring to retarded people, though. Basically, ever. No one ever says it, Parker, to refer to somebody who's actually retarded.
That doesn't change it. Wait, hold up. If you're using the N-word to refer to a white person, it's still wrong. Would you use the N-word to refer to a white person?
No, this doesn't track, by the way, because there's no second definition of that word. That word just is a bad word.
I mean, in some circumstances, I think that you can use it in a comedic sense. That's hilarious. Sure.
Okay.
You think white people using
Louis C.K.
is okay in any circumstance?
Yeah, comedic senses especially. I think it's fine.
That's disgusting as fuck. Do you think it's okay to do right now?
It's disgusting.
Is that an argument, Parker?
Disgusting.
Me calling something disgusting because I think it goes against my moral.
You think it's disgusting? Okay, you're right. Homosexuality is disgusting because it goes against my moral.
All right, let me bring in Danny.
Can I respond?
Hang on. Let me bring in Danny. This is what NBC said. NBC News, when they covered the return of the R word, they said, while its use has percolated in the comedy world for years, only recently has the word and discussion of its return become more normalized. That is fueled in no small part by a sense that the tide has turned both culturally and politically against those seeking to keep the word out of the popular lexicon. But the battle lines are not as clear as one might think. And there's no doubt that's true. I mean, what is your view about this?
I mean, we got to remind ourselves why people like us are against use of the R word, and especially in public places, right? Yeah. It's because it was a term, I believe, like technical term for mentally disabled people, and
yes, literally in my lifetime,
mean those people or accidentally offend people that have children or relatives or friends that are mentally disabled, right? And so it has that connotation. Unlike the word dog, when Jesus used the term dog, right? There's no such connotation, right? You'll have to be reminded of why it's considered to be a slur, right? I mean, it's like you forgot.
Yeah, but so is the word moron. So is the word moron. Yeah. The word moron had a really negative societal connotation, and it still does, and people use it all the time, just in lieu of the word retard.
And actually, mental moron literally was also a medical definition within, I believe, at least my grandparents' lifetime. Like, it wasn't that long ago. And again, the word retard, like mentally retarded, was literally how it was referred to when I was a kid. Like, it wasn't an insult. That was medically what they used to say.
They'll just say you're a moron instead of you're a retard. It's like you're hang on. You're begging. You're picking and choosing. Yeah, you're picking and choosing which thing to be selectively offended by.
Yeah,
you're not. I don't. So like, let me ask you guys this honestly.
Because also moron doesn't even have all of the use case that the word retard does. Again,
has to answer me fucking honestly. Does the word retard actually offend you?
Yes. No. I think it's fucked up to use. I've been very clear.
It's because he's retarded.
When somebody says
it does. So if Zach Galifianakis, places and professional places.
Zach Galifianakis does some when he does comedy and he does a movie and he makes a joke and says retort, is that also bad?
I'm confused the context of what you're referencing. Is he specifically trying to offend the officer? If he is, then yes.
So now
he's trying to allude to.
There's context. There wasn't before.
Okay, yes, that's wrong.
Yes, that's wrong.
I thought like someone. I thought
that references another word now is wrong, like moron.
So specifically, in terms of the one I thought you were referencing like someone responding to an argument. I thought the particular term you were using.
Zach Galifianakis in a comedy movie saying retort as a joke instead of retard.
So if your friend
I think that's incredibly fucked up to use.
Okay, so now also any word that refers to the word retard is now wrong, like moron.
I think if you're intentionally specifically trying to use a word right in place specifically of the R slur, specifically as to create the same type of outcome as the R slur,
so any word
that particular intention, I think that particular intention would.
So you can't say the word moron. So now you
can't say the word moron.
You don't necessarily have that intention. It doesn't meet the particular threshold of harm as well.
Spiraling into insanity.
Yes, you literally do. By the way, the word moron is meant to step into place of that word.
That's not. I gave two conditions to separate it. I gave two conditions. Wait, it being subjective.
Your conditions are arbitrary.
Wait,
exactly.
Wait, it being subjective is not a critique. That's not a critique against the view.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's not. How is that a critique?
Yes, it is. If something's purely subjective, then I can come with all the same claims with all the same force, and there's no way to resolve the two. That's why purely subjective arguments fail.
Wait, there not being a resolution, particularly between the moral disagreement of me and you, isn't a critique, particularly of my perspective.
Then you can't say anything is morally wrong. There's no ought from an is.
Wait, I can say something is morally wrong under my perspective. You're misunderstanding subjective morality.
You're not giving.
Wait, I have a question. I have a question.
Wrong morally, objectively.
Well, then I'll ask you this question.
Counter it.
By the way,
do you think that morality is true dependent upon God's stance or independent of God's stance?
Okay, so
it's grounded in God.
Okay, so
right, and this is where I kind of get confused as well with these guys because first off, don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying this conversation. But secondly, I'm unfamiliar with the guy at the very end of my right in the blue shirt. Gotta say though, this guy is extremely valid in what he's saying, and these guys over here to the left, they just look at things so black and white, and then when you really call them on it, they just make up the most meaningless stuff to try and pile on and pile on and pile on to make sense of what they're saying, and it is arbitrary, like my guy in the blue over there at the end said.
God is a subject. Yeah, God is a subject.
No, that's not a subjective argument. The argument.
The
argument is that it's objective.
The
fact that a person makes an argument doesn't make the argument subjective. Your argument is pure subjectivism.
Hold on, God is a subject? That's not what subjectivism is referring to in this term.
Two different things. It's a category.
Yeah, what the hell?
Is God a subject?
It's two different categories. A subjective argument.
We're two different people too.
Different than a person who's a subject making an argument.
Oh my God, they're purposely being stupid.
We're subjects, right? We understand morality in terms of God. In fact,
you're equivocating again.
Look, can we bring this back?
No, you want to run away.
No, you can't.
Wait, God having his particular view on morality is no different than me having my view because we're both subjects.
The argument is that it's an objective.
What is it, Jay? What is the subject? Jay, what is the subject?
Thank you.
You're equivocating on the fact that a subject is making an argument versus the argument being subjective.
No, yes.
Thank you. Wait,
category error.
Jay,
this is like talking to children.
I asked you.
It's a category error, you idiot.
It really is. I need a second here. This is, again, these people are purposely misrepresenting and misunderstanding. I bet they do know what they're talking about. They're purposefully acting like they don't understand what's happening and what is the subject? Again, it's so ridiculous. These people, here's the thing. They don't understand that words can have two different meanings based on how it is used in context.
Hero dilemma. I asked you if it's true dependent upon a stance or independent of a stance. You said it's dependent upon God's stance. That's subjective by definition.
I said that the argument for Christian ethics is not a subjectivist ethic, and because God is a subject, it doesn't make the system subjective. That's an equivocation.
What do you think
error
subjective
on your
means,
part.
Jay? What does subjective mean?
What do you think
Purely
it means?
relative to the individual.
Okay,
so true dependent upon a stance.
Is God an individual?
That doesn't mean that the ethic is subjective.
No, by the way, just based on the way that God is, no, canonically God is not an individual. That's so clearly not understanding the concept of God. I myself am not even a Christian. I did grow up around Christianity and religion, and I know enough to say that is crazy to just be like, well, is God an individual? No, I mean,
subjective ethic.
Not really.
You're just rephrasing. You're substituting the word individual for subject.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm asking you if God is an individual. Yes or no?
That doesn't mean that the ethics are subjective.
You're such a coward. I'm so sorry.
Yes, they're names. Who's running now?
It's an
Is God an
epistemological argument that's different.
Let me bring Andrew.
He's literally trying to understand. You can't boil down the concept of, is God an individual? And say yes or no. There's such a deeper answer within that to be had. It's like, is he an individual? Like, kinda, but not really, because it's God and he's sort of omnipresent, omnipotent. So it's like he needs a second to dig into an answer. This is obviously having him try to say yes or no to trap him into an answer, but there's no good yes or it's not a binary. Unfortunately, in the topic of God, it's just not binary.
Andrew, you wanted to get in here.
Jay's getting cooked, so
what were you gonna say?
Jay's getting cooked.
You're making a dumb mistake.
Hang on, let Andrew come in, please.
He's trying to answer and you won't let him.
Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of obfuscating.
Yes,
point. What does any of that have to do with the point of retard?
Yes.
So, and you being offended by the word. Yeah. Can you hang on? I'm talking to Parker, not you, Danny. Calm down.
Wait, I don't understand.
Buster?
Yeah, I don't understand, Parker. When a friend of yours comes over and he says something to you, like you're in private, and he's like, "Hey, hand me that." And he tosses it, and you miss it, and he goes, "You retard." You literally stop the kind. You go, "Don't say that. It's very offensive." Do you say that? It's very offensive. I really don't like it when you say. Do you dress him down, Parker? If you have someone who calls you a retard, or friendly way.
I'm sorry. My mic cut out, so I couldn't hear you.
I want to post something to Andrew.
If you have a friend, shut up, Danny. If you have a friend, Parker, and your buddy comes over and he like tosses you something and you drop it and he's like, you retard, you dress him down? Do you go, "I can't believe it"?
I would say that's wrong.
Why?
Yes.
I would like to say something.
Yes, I would say that.
Who's around to be offended except you? Who's
like
around to be offended but you?
That part.
I'd like to ask Andrew.
I think it's wrong.
Yes.
Let Danny respond. Danny?
I want to give Andrew a hypothetical. Suppose there's this unknown society.
And again, notice how these guys have to go to the hypothetical. They have to obfuscate at so many layers to try to get off the topic to get their point through, and it's ridiculous.
If you show this signal, everyone's extremely offended. They'll get very angry, like people get angry at, typical slurs like the N-word, right? Would you go around just doing this?
Logic?
Sure.
The Vulcan sign for logic.
Peace and
You
prosperity.
understand the hypothetical?
What are you posing a hypothetical?
It's not a good hypothetical. This dumbass. Yeah, I would do it. Screw it.
So imagine
Can you use really small words, bro?
Okay, imagine a hypothetical, right, where you're going to a society you don't know about, but all you know is if you do this.
I'm imagining a hypothetical.
Let me finish. You didn't understand hypothetical, so I'm having to repeat it. So let me finish.
Yeah, but you don't imagine.
Yeah, repeat it.
This guy doesn't understand.
Let's say this signal is extremely offensive in that society, really offends people. Would you go around just doing this to troll people, or would you not?
Yeah.
I
like the middle finger.
Live long and prosper.
Read between the lines.
Okay, you're just not engaging in the hypothetical. You're not a serious person.
What do you mean? That is serious.
Is that what I'm trying to illustrate is that if a term really offends a friend of someone, right, or a family member or something like that, why would you use the term but to piss them off?
The trouble is that we've got to a place in our society where the language police are now so out of control that we can't even use the word in hospitals, mother. Because somebody who is a trans person.
Well, and this is where it really ends up where I wanted to talk about here today with you. It's so crazy to me. Like, this guy literally uses live long and prosper, the Vulcan symbol, which means live long and prosper, to be like, well, what if live long and prosper is it's such a terrible hypothetical. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. I would love to know your thoughts here about this, though. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell me what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.